hello again. Before we go on, there's just time to mention that our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon and Harry Breur. It's performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, who has kindly given his permission for us to use it. And now here's Elizabeth with the first item of sport.
It is about hockey. Southgate were undone by a late goal on Saturday the 8th as they suffered a 1-0 defeat at Hampstead and Westminster in the Premier Division of the NOW, Pensions Men's Hockey League. Southgate, who has slipped to 7th in the table as a result of the defeat, host Beeston on Saturday the 15th, before going to Barford Tigers in the Men's Cup on Sunday. Meanwhile, Southgate ladies slumped to a 4-0 defeat at home to Teddington in Division 1 of the Women's South League on Saturday the 8th.
Of two football stories. Player-manager Bradley Quinton admits that his Enfield Town side are raring to go as they prepare to finally return to Ryman Premier Division action at Billericay Town on Monday the 17th. Town have not played in the league since beating leaders Margate on October the 28th, having had a succession of games postponed since then owing to their scheduled opponents being involved in cup action. This pattern continues on Saturday the 15th, as the clash against Witham Town has been called off due to Witham's continued participation in the FA Trophy. Town's inactivity has seen them slip from 9th to 12th in the table, and Quinton claims that the players cannot wait to get back into action in the league. Town's inactivity came at a time when they were on an excellent run in the league, and Quinton has been rewarded for their fine form during October, when they won 3 and drew the other 2 of their 5 matches to climb from 19th to 9th in the table by being named the Ryman Premier Division's Manager of the Month. And Quinton, who had never previously managed a side on a permanent basis prior to taking charge of Town at the end of August, believes that the award is a testament to the efforts that everyone at the club has put in. Despite Town's fine form in the league, they have lost now their past 2 matches, with the disappointing FA Trophy exit at the hands of Dereham Town on November the 1st being followed by a 3-2 reversal at home to Hanwell Town in the Middlesex Senior Cup on Tuesday the 11th. Meanwhile, Enfield Town FC have also been working in partnership with Enfield Children and Young Persons Services and the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation to ensure a group of young people with learning difficulties in the borough can enjoy participating in football. The group, coached by 2 volunteers, James Spink and Julian Mason, train at Enfield playing fields and have begun competing in the Middlesex Pan Disability League. The club have been successful in obtaining a small grant from the Middlesex Football Association to assist with the initial cost of kit and equipment, but are seeking a sponsor to provide some financial support for this initiative over the coming years.
Enfield 1893 saw their miserable season in the Essex Senior League continue on Saturday the 8th as they were beaten 2-1 at Basement Side Greenhouse, London. The defeat means that Enfield 1893 have still only won twice in the league all season, and they were unable to add to that tally as their scheduled trip to Bowers and Pitsea fell victim to a waterlogged pitch. The E's face further league matches at home to Sporting Bengal United on Saturday the 15th and at home to Ilford on Tuesday the 18th. Meanwhile, Cockfosters also endured a disappointing week as they suffered successive defeats in the Spartan Premier Division. Having previously been on a good form of run, Cockfosters slumped to a 3-0 defeat at home to Hertford Town on Saturday in a match which saw the quality of finishing prove to be the main difference between the sides. And Cockfosters again failed to find the net on Tuesday the 11th as they were beaten 2-0 at King's Langley. Cockfosters will host Homer Green on Saturday the 15th.
George believes that the Saracens squad is in a good place as they prepare to return to Aviva Premiership action at Leicester on Sunday the 16th. Already missing a number of players on international duty, Sarries found themselves facing a busy schedule over the past week as they visited the Ospreys in the LV Cup on Friday the 7th and hosted leading South African side Western Province on the following Sunday. Saracens decided to field entirely different teams in the two matches, but still managed to emerge victorious on both occasions, with an inexperienced side beating the Ospreys 21-9 before a much stronger 15 crushed Western Province 46-22. Sarries will again be missing their international stars when they make the trip to Welford Road at the weekend, and George is looking forward to the clash against their fierce rivals. Meanwhile, Enfield Ignatians under-18s made a winning start in their campaign in Rugby Union's Hearts Middlesex Division 4 on Saturday the 8th as they secured a 17-10 win at Barnet Elizabethans. And now here's Elizabeth, who's found a coupon in the paper, and she's very excited about it.
Very excited about it. Well, we thought you might be interested in this, and you find this coupon on page 17 of the Independent, so perhaps someone might be able to find it for you if you can't see it, or find you the newspaper. And the coupon is to enjoy 20% off your food bill at a Toby Carvery. And the offer is valid all day, Monday to Saturday, until the 5th of December. But it only happens at the Halfway House, Whitewebb's House, Red Lion Barnet, and Oakland's Boreham Wood. And I went to the Carvery quite recently, and I thought it was very good. But so now you can have a 20% off if you want to.
And you have to take Elizabeth.
And the next article has a lovely picture attached to it and it says at the bottom, Luke Hands with Amanda Timothy from John Lewis. And Luke Hands is holding his award-winning dress that the article will tell you all about. Very nice in John Lewis. A group of Barnet and Southgate College fashion students were set the challenge by John Lewis to design a dress to celebrate John Lewis's 150th anniversary. The winning design had to incorporate influences from John Lewis's heritage collection, yet also demonstrate 21st century innovative fashion. For inspiration, the students visited the company's Heritage Centre in Berkshire, where they viewed the John Lewis Textile Collection archive, which dates back over 200 years. A judging panel of fashion designers, tutors, and the John Lewis Fashion's operation manager announced the winning design to be from Barnet and Southgate College fashion student Luke Hards. Luke, aged 23 from Enfield, is a Level 3 fashion student, and he won the opportunity to create the design using fabric bought in the store's haberdashery department, which went on display in the women's wear department at John Lewis Brent Cross until late October. As part of his prize, Luke also spent the day at the fashion design studio at John Lewis head office, and he also received an Apple iPad. Barnet and Southgate fashion student Luke said, "I'm delighted and gobsmacked. I can't believe my dress is on display in John Lewis." David Byrne, principal of Barnet and Southgate College, said, "All of our fashion students have had a fantastic experience working on this competition. One of the college's prime aims is to enhance the employability of our students, and working on a project such as this with the John Lewis Partnership does just that. Congratulations to Luke Hards on his winning design, and we wish him every success in his future career." John Lewis Community Liaison Coordinator Amanda Timothy said, "It has been fantastic to see the students develop their ideas through this competition and how they have each taken inspiration from the Heritage Collection to create a modern day dress."
Life after Spitting Image. Stephen Manfield swaps puppet heads for caricatures. Having your first ever paycheck signed by Jerry Anderson after landing a job on his 1980s puppet series Terrorhawks sets the bar pretty high. But sculptor and cartoonist Stephen Mansfield has managed to land one amazing job after another in his 30-year career, characterising countless famous faces for Spitting Image, creating monsters for Doctor Who, and now carefully recreating celebrity visages for Madame Tussauds in London. But after years of making 3D sculptures for others, Stephen has recently rediscovered his love of drawing and, inspired by cartoonists such as Ralph Steadman and Quentin Blake, has begun creating his own artwork. My real joy is cartoon caricatures, says the Winchmore Hill artist, who will be exhibiting his drawings properly for the first time at the Southgate and Palmer's Green Designers Art and Craft Fair this weekend. They are very scratchy, and I use old pens to blob on the ink and do them mostly freehand and just let my imagination fly, says the 49-year-old. Although he has done a few famous faces such as Mick Jagger, Humphrey Bogart and Captain Mainwaring from Dad's Army, Stephen prefers to draw generic people and scenes which people can see themselves in. Born in Palmer's Green, Stephen discovered his talent for art at Hazelwood Junior and Winchmore Hill School and developed it at Middlesex Polytechnic. The job on Terrorhawks came about through a mixture of industry contacts and luck, but landing the gig on Doctor Who at the start of Sylvester McCoy's era was a childhood dream come true. Stephen got to create giant human bat creatures, the famous melting head in episode Dragonfire, and the demon that the Brigadier fought in his final episode Battlefield. I used to watch it when I was a kid and think that would really be a cool job, going in every day and making monsters. So to end up doing it eventually was definitely a box ticked, says Stephen. He went on to work on satirical series Spitting Image, sculpting Noel Edmonds, Jason Donovan, Ken Dodd, Nigel Lawson, and one of the many Margaret Thatcher puppets. It was a lot of fun as the team were quite young. If someone was suddenly in the news, we would sometimes have only a few days to create their puppet. I suppose it does sound quite interesting when you say it all like that in one go. But now I have started doing these drawings, I have found my real joy in them. Hopefully others will like them too.
Thousands of patients have been forced to wait in the back of ambulances outside accident and emergency before being handed over to hospital staff. Figures revealed under a Freedom of Information request to the London Ambulance Service by the Enfield Independent show more than 4,000 ambulances with patients in were outside North Middlesex University's Hospital's A&E in Stirling Way, Edmonton. Not all at the same time. From September 2013 to September 2014, there were 4,798 occasions when ambulance crews had to wait more than 30 minutes to hand over patients. In the 13 months measured, an average of 369 ambulances were kept waiting for more than half an hour to be passed on to accident and emergency. The Edmonton Hospital has come under scrutiny since the closure of Chase Farm Hospital A&E last December, and has seen a boom in patients. Furthermore, between December 2013 and April 2014, a huge spike of 2,280 ambulances waited longer than 30 minutes, almost 50% of the total number in the 13 months measured. The figures are almost 4 times that of ambulance waiting times at Barnet Hospital, which saw 1,292 ambulances wait more than 30 minutes to pass on patients to the A&E. The hospital has felt the strain since the closure of Chase Farm's A&E, with health watchdog the Care Quality Commission in August stating that the A&E at the Edmonton Hospital required improvement, and that more needed to be done by the Trust to make sure good quality care was maintained. Last month, figures were revealed that 1,898 people waited more than 4 hours at the hospital in the past 3 months. Edmonton MP Andy Love told the Enfield Independent he was very concerned by the latest figures, He said it's very concerning to learn just how many ambulances are kept waiting before handing over patients when they arrive at the North Mid. People arriving in ambulances are often in very serious conditions, so the minutes really do matter. The figures show that last year's winter crisis, impacted badly on queuing ambulances. The NHS is clearly stretched, and how it will cope through this winter remains to be seen. We need urgent frontline investment, locally and nationally, to prevent services being stretched to breaking point. A spokesman for North Middlesex University Hospital said ambulance admissions have risen by 30% in the 11 months since the local changes, from 88 to 113 on average each day, making us one of the busiest A&Es in London. Despite this increase, we have reduced the proportion of ambulances waiting more than 30 minutes from 11.4% in September 2013 to 7.8% in September 2014, not least because we've worked hard with the London Ambulance Service and other NHS partners to achieve this, and we're continuing to make further improvements.
You might think of mussels as a dish best served with chips and garlic butter, but a dangerous variety of the shellfish has been found in Enfield waters. Quagga mussels, which are not native to the UK, were first spotted by Environment Agency teams carrying out routine water testing in the William Girling Reservoir in the Lee Valley. The invasive species can grow up to 5 centimetres long and wreak havoc on ecosystems, block water pipes, smother boats' hulls, kill shrimps and suffocate other types of mussels. Similar to the zebra mussel, the quagga mussel comes from the Ponto-Caspian region, an area around the Black and Caspian Seas in southeast Europe. Angling clubs and fishermen are now being encouraged to clean, check and dry any equipment that has been in contact with the water to avoid contamination. Sarah Clare, Head of Fisheries Biodiversity at the Environment Agency, said, "These newest discoveries only go to show just how prolific the quagga mussel is. We're monitoring the extent of its spread and working closely with partners to ensure they are aware of it and know what action to take." The Environment Agency has also teamed up with Thames Water, which owns the reservoir. Simon Earle, Head of Water Production at Thames Water, said, "Another invasive species is the last thing we need clogging up our network. But we have a lot of experience in dealing with zebra mussels, which are similar to quagga mussels, and there's no threat to the quality of water that we supply to our customers. We'll continue to monitor the situation and would urge those using our reservoirs to help us stop the spread of mussels by reporting any sightings and following Environment Agency advice on cleaning equipment." Edmonton MP Andy Love said, "The quagga mussel may be small, but it's hugely invasive and has the ability to really upset the existing ecosystem, allowing nuisance weeds to grow and killing off valuable native species. Please do your bit to stop the spread."
Plans for a waste and vehicle depot at Pinkham Way have been dropped after an agreement could not be reached. Barnet Borough Council was considering plans to build a vehicle depot and waste transfer facility on the Pinkham Way site in Haringey by 2016. However, these have been dropped after withdrawal of the proposals from the North London Waste Authority, which formed part of a joint planning application for the site. Alternative options for Pinkham Way will be considered, including housing or the potential sale of the whole site to the Waste Authority, which represents 7 North London boroughs including Barnet, Enfield and Haringey. The overall site is under the planning control of Haringey Borough Council. Barnet Council's depot is due to move from its current site in Bittersea Hill, Mill Hill, by December 2016. 2 alternative sites for the new depot have now been identified, one at Abbott's Depot, Oakley Road South, Barnet, and one at Looper House, Boreham Wood. The depot will serve rubbish and recycling trucks and contain a refuelling station, offices and parking. Councillor Richard Cornelius, leader of Barnet Council, said, "Development or sale of the Barnet-owned land on Pinkham Way will now go ahead quickly, as there is no likelihood of a joint application for the use of the site with the Waste Authority. I would like to see some much-needed housing constructed." Coppet's Ward Councillor Pauline Coakley-Webb said, "We welcome the Council considering alternative sites for the depot, as Pinkham Way is totally inappropriate as a depot site. But we want to hear from residents who live near the Abbots Road depot site in Oakley Road South as to whether they support a depot there." A report is due to go to Barnet Council's Assets, Regeneration, Growth and Committee meeting today, which was Wednesday, to discuss the proposed sites.
6 members of the same family have been told they will have to spend a total of 13 years in jail after a string of thefts of catalytic converters from motor vehicles across London. The men pleaded guilty to more than 150 thefts of the devices which reduce poisonous gases from a vehicle's exhaust system. They were sentenced last Friday. The thieves target the converters because they contain precious metals, including platinum and palladium. The family members received varying sentences for the conspiracy. Martin McDonnell received 3 years, as did Gerard McDonnell and Michael McDonough, while Joseph McDonough received 2 years, John McDonough received 15 months, and Kevin McDonough received a 12-month sentence. All 6 men have also been issued with a 5-year post-conviction antisocial behaviour order, barring them from even touching an unattended motor vehicle without the owner's consent. They have also been banned from owning, possessing, using or controlling equipment that can cut metal thicker than 2 millimetres. Police officers from Brent Borough identified the McDonough family through extensive surveillance, forensic evidence and CCTV. A police spokesman said that since the arrest and charge of the men in April and May, and while they were remanded in custody, there was a 50% reduction in the number of catalytic converters being stolen in the area. Brent Borough Commander Chief Superintendent Michael Gallagher said, "This is a fantastic result for the victims of these crimes. These convictions represent the Met's determination to pursue and dismantle criminal networks and bring them to justice. These convictions should serve as a warning to others engaged in criminal activity that we won't stop until they are convicted." The boroughs in which the gang struck included Barnet, Brent, Bexley, Camden, Ealing, Enfield, Greenwich, Hackney, Haringey, Harrow, Havering, Hillingdon, Lewisham, Newham, Redbridge, Southwark, Tower Hamlets and Waltham Forest.
A fraudster who received £100,000 in benefits he was not entitled to has been jailed for 3 months. Carl St George of Morley Avenue, Edmonton, told Enfield Borough Council the mother of his children was in fact his landlord to illegally claim housing benefit. In 2001, the 48-year-old told the authority he was living with his daughter and renting a house from his landlord, Mr. N. Thomas, for £737 per month. He supported his application with a signed tenancy agreement between himself and his landlord, to whom he claimed he was not related. Between February 2001 and May 2006, St George submitted tenancy agreements saying he was required to pay £780 to £930 a month. Pardon me. In June 2012, he submitted another claim form and declared he was required to pay £870 a month. But after making inquiries, the authorities' fraud investigators found the property at Morley Avenue had been purchased in April 2004 by Natalie Jennifer Thomas and her sister. Investigators obtained birth certificates from St. George's children and found both named Natalie Jennifer Thomas as the mother of his children. Had Enfield Borough Council been aware St. George was living in a property owned by the mother of his children, it would not have paid him benefit, which in total was £99,720 and 2p. Councillor Andrew Stafford, Enfield Council's cabinet member for finance, said, "Fraudster Carl St. George is now sitting inside a cell for failing to notify us of a change in his circumstances. We're keen to encourage courts to impose the maximum sentence in cases of fraud, as this sends out a clear warning to others that offences like this are serious and will be dealt with severely. We are actively looking to seize Mr. St. George's assets so that some of this stolen money can be recouped for the public purse. Remember, if you are committing benefit fraud, it isn't a matter of if we catch you, it is when." Close quotes.
A series of walks through the crisp autumn leaves of the borough's largest park has had record numbers turn out to take in the sights and smells of the season. More than 150 people got involved in the 4 guided walks that are backed by money from the Enfield Residents Priority Fund and take people through the hidden nooks and crannies of Trent Park in Oakwood. The free walks are run by the Friends of Trent Park and Black Rainbow events and included an exploration of wildness survival skills, as well as an evening studying the unusual activity of bat life in the dark and a spooky session on all the ghosts, myths and legends that are rumoured to haunt the dark recesses of the vast expanse. The programme of events also included a special Loves Parks Week tour that took walkers from the 40 Hall estate in 40 Hill, Enfield, through some of the borough's biggest green spaces before finishing up in Trent Park. On the back of the success of the walks, Black Rainbow events will be applying to the Residents' Priority Fund in a bid to secure funding for the future. Jessamine Brett, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community Organisations, said that the success of the walk series was proof that even with a dramatically reduced pot of money, the fund was good value for money. She added, "Like last year, this programme of low-cost events has once again not only proved itself to be a valuable tool for building strong community involvement and representation, but has also proved itself to be a low-cost tool for producing a sustained level of positive publicity. Trent Park deserves initiatives such as this to raise awareness of its nature, history and worth as a valuable example of our local heritage. This project has raised awareness for local residents and visitors alike, as well as promoting healthier lifestyles." Jason Charalambos, a ward councillor for Cockfosters, said that he'd been delighted to support the project. "These walks have brought in record numbers of people who are all discovering the history and the beauty of their local area," he added, "and I wanted to lend my support in ensuring this programme continued throughout 2015.
Well, we've reached the end of our programme for this week. Don't forget, your reader's representative, Diane de Jersey, is on 020-8805-6578 if you need any help with the talking newspaper or want to complain about my cough. And please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible so we can send out the next edition. And that will be with you in 1 week's time. Thanks for being with us. From me, Malcolm, Elizabeth, Katherin, Evann and Jason on the controls, goodbye.
Bye-bye.